All right, guys. So another really fun Sunday. What a game! In Vegas. Oh, the Raiders are 0-2 with Josh McDaniels, and who knows how this season's going to go. You bring in Chandler Jones, and of course Devontae Adams. One of the best receivers in all football, and I don't think he had the best stat line today. But again, the Raiders had a chance to drive down and win and run for fumbles twice, and it's a scoop and score for Isaiah Simmons, Zaven Collins, linebacker from Tulsa making plays, and Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray put it together. Murray in the second half, scintillating performance, scrambling around, making tons of plays with his legs, and threading the needle to A.J. Green on a 2-point conversion, scoring at the buzzer, to put it in position for the 2-point play. So Arizona, a much-needed win, a huge boost. They were getting crushed like 23-7. It was a day of comebacks in the NFL. The Jets, too, down by 2 scores, and Joe Flacco, they get an onside kick. He hits Corey Davis, and then I believe Garrett Wilson on an in-breaking route for a touchdown. Just a very emotional win for the Jets that kind of keep their season afloat. And Cleveland really needs all the wins they can get so that when Watson comes back in Week 11, they're still in contention in the AFC. So they really let one get away. Inexcusable. Terrible defense down the stretch. Cleveland let their foot off the gas. Really a brutal loss for Kevin Stefanski when Nick Chubb had such a game like he did today. The Patriots, their defense, looking all right. I mean, I know they played Trubisky and Najee Harris and kind of a slower, Steelers offense, but Deontay Johnson's still a hell of a player. Mitchell Trubisky made a couple of throws in the game. But the Patriots defense, they stuffed the run. They played very disciplined. And they're really going to get an awesome test when Lamar Jackson plays the Patriots in Foxborough and Mac Jones sees that Ravens defense. That's going to be a tremendous test for the Patriots, and it's a game in which Bill Belichick, he usually can scheme up some good defense for some of the league's best quarterbacks. But Mac Jones, a lot of people are just worried about the stat line of an interception to Minkah Fitzpatrick. He also threw a lot of great throws today. He hit Jacoby Myers, he hit Kendrick Bourne. He was able to move around the pocket. Kendrick Bourne, much more a part of the game plan today. The Aguilar catch was sensational. He mossed the crap out of a Steelers defensive back. And if the Patriots wanted and they really executed, they could have scored in the 20s today. They left some points on the field. There's no doubt about it. But this was such an important win to go to Pittsburgh and get a win. It was much needed. Now they're 1-1, and now they're playing the Ravens. And if they beat the Ravens, they can be well on their way to being very competitive. Patricia and Judge and the offense, they called good running plays for Damian Harris. And I know that TJ Watt was not in the game, but the Patriots really blocked it well, especially down the stretch. They went on like a 6-minute drive to close out the game, and that's the type of game that's the type of drive that you want. And Mac Jones was able to do that last year against the Chargers, and they were 0-2 to start the year last year. They were 1-3. They lost to the Buccaneers. Heartbreaking game with Nick Folk missing that field goal. They also lost to New Orleans last year, Miami. So they were 1-3 to start the season. But now they're getting off to a better start. They're 1-1, and Mac Jones hitting some over routes, taking more chances with the ball, throwing the ball down the field. They're letting Mac go a little bit this year, and he's out of shotgun, and it's exciting. And I think it's a team that can heat up as they go along. And this game against the Ravens is going to be a really fun 1:00 game. It's going to be a really fun 1:00 game. Other news and notes around the NFL is, Trey Lance, unfortunate for him. He got an ankle injury, so he's out. He broke his ankle. It was awful. Awful injury, and now Jimmy Garoppolo is back in San Francisco, so he's not going to get traded. We'll see if the 49ers can still be really competitive. Because in that division now, you had the Cardinals that you thought were dead. They get a win. And then the Rams play a really great game against Atlanta. Late, they had some special teams errors. Cooper Kupp turned the ball over, actually. Atlanta is a feisty team. Atlanta will fight you tooth and nail. And I really like what Arthur's trying to build in Atlanta. I really do. And next week is a must-win game at Seattle that I believe Atlanta, if they're serious about really being a potential team, they go to Seattle. It's a must-win, and they figure out a way to win. If they can't win at Seattle, they're going to have a long season. But Atlanta should win that game by 2 scores. They should be serious. They should go out there. The defense and DNP should work hard, and they should go and defeat Seattle next week in Seattle. It's always a tough place to play, but Mariota needs to go there and win. For Arthur Smith, it's almost a must-win game because Arthur, last year they went 7-10, and you don't want to have Arthur go you don't want to have a 4-win year. So you have to win that game at Seattle because they've had some gut punch losses. Today they fought back. They had a chance to throw it in the end zone, and Jalen Ramsey iced the game. He's an elite player. He made an elite play. Kyle Pitts hasn't been getting a lot of receptions. He's in the blocking scheme a lot. Tyler Algier got a lot more carries today. But Mariota looks fine. He's hitting Zacharias. He threw 2 touchdowns. He's operating the offense fine. The Falcons still scored 25 points, and they failed in the red zone. The offense is there. The defense was just getting beat all day by Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp. It was unacceptable for a DNP's defense to look like that. They're going to have great opportunities. They have Cleveland and Seattle. They get Jacoby Brissett. They get Geno Smith. All right. They get a Cleveland team that's very susceptible. All right. They need to win the next 2 games. They're fully capable of doing it. And then they're going to go to Tampa Bay in week 5. And then the season gets started because then the Falcons, then they're going to play Jimmy Garoppolo. And they're going to play a 49ers team that's going to be very physical. So the schedule is just... it's ridiculous for Atlanta. It gets very hard. So Atlanta, they're going to be 2-2. All right. I really believe that in my heart of hearts that Atlanta can be 2-2. And then they're going to have to go play. They're going to have to go play, the Bucs. And the Bucs offense doesn't look great. So Atlanta has an outside shot. I like their offense more than I like Jameis Winston's offense because Marcus Mariota can actually move around and make plays. All right, so, boy, it gets tough. You then go to Cincinnati after that. So, let's look at this. Gosh, if you're 3-3, if you're 4-3 somehow headed in the Panthers week, and I don't know when the bye comes. The bye comes very late in the year. But then you play Washington, you play Chicago, you play Carolina, you play the Steelers. So that's a 4-game stretch. You got to be competitive during these games. You got to be 500 by the time you play Chicago, Washington football team, the Redskins or the Commanders, the Steelers, and the Saints on the road. You can win 4 straight there. So you got to find a way to get to 10 wins this year. It ain't going to be easy. You got some must-win games that you got to take care of. You got to figure out a way to run the football and rush the passer. But I love this Falcons team. They're a group that competes. I really want Marcus to work out as a long-term quarterback. I really want this to happen. I'm really passionate about the Falcons. I think that they're playing a brand of football that I really appreciate, where it's very modern. They really run the ball. They play out of the house set with a fullback. So I like it. I like it a lot. The Texans, man, they're close every week. They're close every single week. Every week, they're right around there. The Lovie Smith, the defense, they just need Pep Hamilton and that offense to go. It's like watching the Bears again from way back or watching Illinois play a Big Ten team. 9-6, they're shutting down Russell Wilson. Take the game over. Davis Mills, honestly, he might be a good quarterback throwing at a combine or whatever. You got to produce consistent points. You produced 20 last week. Your goal as a quarterback is to produce points. Geno Smith did not do that. Davis Mills did not do that. Russell Wilson looked shaky. I thought Russell would be better. I thought that was a good signing. But, He hasn't looked very good. The Broncos and the Raiders. So I kind of got that one right. I said the Chargers would win that division and the Chiefs would just be decent. It's going to be an interesting NFL. You got the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo's going to come back with Kittle. Other big stories. So the Raiders are a big, big story. The Packers tonight take care of business. Justin Fields, he might be entering the Tua zone in year 2 where he's not really producing numbers throwing the ball through the air. Out of college, I had my questions about Fields, so I wasn't aligned with thinking that Fields was going to be a tremendous quarterback and that there were 9 teams that missed out because he has a loopy release throwing the football. Loopy release that's really tough to fix when Justin Fields is throwing the ball. All right, so I don't think his mechanics are great. I don't think the arm strength, Justin Fields can get outside the pocket, but anticipation, all that. Like I need to see more from Justin Fields. But again, I actually thought Trey Lance would be the truth. So, and now Trey Lance is hurt, but even that loopy release, and Trey Lance isn't as fast as people would think because he hasn't been able to be very elusive with throwing the ball and or just with running outside the pocket. And I thought that Kyler would be run first, and you get Trey to throw the ball 20 times a game, and he hits a couple explosives, and there you go. And he developed kind of like Josh Allen did. Well, Josh Allen, they just threw the ball all the time with Dable. But I'm talking about Trey Lance, 25 times a game you're throwing the ball. It's a lot of play action, a lot of easy bootleg stuff. But now with Elijah Mitchell out and then Trey Lance got injured. So I thought Trey would be the guy in that class. Trevor Lawrence, I wasn't buying into all the hype, but Trevor Lawrence had a day today in the Colts. Frank Reich is on thin ice. He's on the hot seat. They go from Phillip Rivers, they make the playoffs. Carson Wentz on the doorstep of the playoffs. So they had a couple okay years. But everybody talks about their defense, their cap space. You got Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is great. You look at Darius Leonard and you're like, this is such a solid team, but yet they're not going anywhere. And I know that Pittman was out today, but the Jaguars, man, what a start. They've been waiting a couple of years on that defense, and those kids are finally growing up and playing really good defensive football for them. Caldwell looks like a guy that Mike Caldwell is an interesting name out there that I was even talking to a buddy about. And, Mike Caldwell could end up being that name that enters in the coaching circles because he has this Jacksonville defense. They're humming right now. And they played a fantastic game. But now Jacksonville has to go out to Charger land, and I think the Chargers are going to whoop that ass after they were pissed off. 11 days rest, 7 points on the road in Charger land. The one thing for the Chargers don't have a lot of fans, but are the Jags fans really going to travel and make some noise? I know that's kind of a shot at both fan bases, but I wonder who's even going to be at that game. But I'm telling you, the Chargers are going to roll. The Chargers are angry. Herbert's angry. They let one get away from the Chiefs. And now you have Trevor Lawrence. That's a real, are you for real kind of game. Just like today for the Dolphins at the Ravens, they're down 35-14. Is this Mike McDaniel guy going to work? Is this hipster from Colorado, going to work from Greeley? Is this guy from Yale going to work? Is Tua, is the lefty going to throw the ball down the field to these fast, explosive receivers? And it worked. And they came back and showed it today. Joe Burrow and the Bengals, am I worried? A little bit, but this was a game back against the wall kind of game. What a game for McCarthy and Kellen Moore. They get to keep their jobs. Dan Quinn gets to keep his job a little bit longer. Gives you something to think about for that Monday night Cowboys-Giants, Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush looked a little like Andy Dalton. He looked kind of suitable as a backup quarterback. So give credit to the Cowboys for developing Cooper Rush and give credit to Cooper Rush for being suitable as a placeholder until Dak can maybe get healthy in week 6. They're still on board. That was a huge win. Brett Maher kicks the field goal. But Kyler Murray, man, what a performance. He was just unbelievable. On that 2-point conversion, he literally he ran around probably 100 yards, and the play took 2 minutes, and then he scrambled all the way around. He waited. It was classic Kyler. He looked like he was back at Oklahoma. Cliff Kingsbury, it was fun. They were all scrambling out on the field, all celebrating. what a win that really was galvanizing the Arizona Cardinals. That bench, everybody was just like, running down the sideline with Simmons as he scooped and scored it after Hollywood Brown dropped a ball that was dislodged. He could have caught that ball and it could have set up a game-winning touchdown. Hollywood Brown drops the ball, a great hit from the Raiders safety, and Derek Carr's moving down the field. All you need is for Carlson indoors who can hit from like 55. Daniel Carlson, a great kicker from Auburn, who actually got cut from a team and then made it on the Gruden and the Raiders. They needed that play. They almost recovered one fumble, and it was a magical win. That is a season saver. Season savers early in the year. But Texans, Dameon Pierce, Davis Mills, when are we going to see more? What a fun day. And I forgot to mention the Lions. The Lions get a win. You thought that, the Washington Redskins Commanders football team would come back, and they made a little bit of a comeback. But as the Detroit defense started to fade, Jared Goff really converting in this offense, finding his flow with Coach Ben Johnson, hitting Amon-Ra St. Brown, making him a big-time receiver. You got Reynolds out there that's really helping out. DJ Chark also catching footballs. And Swift, too, becoming kind of a weapon and really coming into his own as a leader on and off the field for the Lions. Aiden Hutchinson had a nice game today. Trayvon Walker playing nice, but Aiden Hutchinson and the Lions, at least they took care of business, took a step in the right direction. All right, Dan Campbell and this kind of young team that, so I believe Atlanta's actually ahead of the Lions in a lot of ways. Man, this is going to be a fun year in the NFL. And I watched a ton of football today. I watched all of the Patriots-Steelers game with the Patriots. Man, the Steelers, they couldn't move the ball on offense. 3-and-out city. And the Patriots just needed to go on one or two more drives. They would have killed the game. They would have crushed that game. They weren't able to do it. So, man, they could have went on a drive and they could have won that game going away, but hopefully that team gets a little bit better because I really like Mac Jones. I like Bill Belichick. Everybody's doubting Belichick, but next week they're facing a team that's explosive. You got Devin Duvernay, you got Rashad Bateman, and Lamar Jackson. That passing game, Mark Andrews, that passing game is starting to come alive, and that's scary. That Ravens offense looked very, very scary. You can argue that the defense in the fourth was just as scary, but overall, what a fun day in the National Football League today. Some crazy finishes. Cardinals, Jets winning big. The Falcons coming back. The Dolphins, of course, the top story of the day. The Giants winning a really tight game late. So it's the NFL, and these games are going to come down to a couple of possessions. So it was a lot of fun.